Look, on the field, it was obviously a rough season in so many ways. Some bright spots, some good developments. Off the field, we're all very well aware of Las Vegas relocation. I'm wondering, from your perspective, did any of that leak into the team or the operations or what was happening on the inside? Certainly from the fan perspective, it was very evident.
Yeah, and I don't think you could be honest and say that you didn't notice it if you're here, if you're working for the team.
Yeah.
I do think the staff and players did an excellent job of keeping it on the periphery and not letting it affect their routines. Obviously there were games, where they noticed it and the chants and they, you'd have to really not be paying attention.
You can't not notice what was on display.
Without a doubt. But I do think they're professional. They did their job. Those of us who work in the office and who live in the community, I think we noticed it, in our daily lives more than the players and staff did. But again, you're sort of here to do a job.
Well, and you've been around here 23 years with this team alone. You've seen pretty much everything, or at least maybe you thought you had. I didn't know what a reverse boycott even was until I saw it on June 13th. That night in particular, and it also culminated with the 7th win in a row, which we talked about. What was your takeaway and impression from going from small crowds and a typical night at the Coliseum to that?
Yeah. So when we have a big crowd, regardless of the reason, I think it adds an energy to the game on the field. You want those fans to walk away with a good experience. Bob used to say, we have to win those nights. We have to get those fans back. I think Mark feels the same way.
It's a platform almost.
The fact that we won a 1-0 close, well-played game that night was my biggest takeaway. Hey, it was a really good night on the field, and everybody left having got to see a win. Obviously, a lot of those people were here for a different reason other than to see a win. But ultimately, the takeaway is the experience, and having a big crowd for our players is exactly what they deserve.
And my last question on this, from you being around this long, you understand at least the fan perspective and why they're so passionate and what they have at stake here. And players are a little bit nomadic. They'll play for any team that signs them or where the opportunity is, but the fans are the ones that live here through generations and, like yourself, have lived here through generations. Do you understand where they've been all season?
I certainly do. Yeah, and I said a couple weeks ago, the passion of A's fans was fully on display this year. The players get it too. They understand the history. They're nomadic in that they don't always spend their whole career here, but when they're here in Oakland, they know the history. It's literally on the walls around this place, and the fans don't let them, forget about it. So they get it too. But being in the community, look, I have 13 and 10-year-old who grew up A's fans. They go to school with A's fans. We have, we work with people who've been here a long time. So you can't escape it. So I do obviously understand it.